What's up, everyone? It's Wild Card Weekend, and this is Tournament Tactics. We're gonna break it all down. We're taking a look at the DraftKings slates. There's a lot of different ones, so we've kind of decided as a group that we're gonna combine it all into one big slate and kind of give an overview, and then we'll break it down by Saturday and Sunday only. So, Wild Card Weekend, baby. We got a lot more football to go. Let's go.
Let's go! Geek on the keys, Kevin Allen with the vision. BobbyWow 2 times already won 2 millions, no fiction. Burns in the shark lab, calculating the math. Wrote the damn book on how to run up a bag. Desire pull up, the MILF Slayer in the building. GPP trophies on his neck, keep the whole chat thrilled in. Third hat, who? Not us, we eating. Heat it. Oh! Tournament tactics, we stacking the bags again. Nearly make $100, yeah, we cashing in. Helmets up, blue moon in the cup, boner alert. That over under going up. Core plays, live domination, station pop. Props based projections make the whole field drop. DFS Army. Tournament tactics.
All right. I'm gonna miss that song when the Tournament Tactics season ends, guys. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I need a long form just for my YouTube playlist. Get it in the mix. All right, guys, welcome back to Tournament Tactics, where we take a look at the DraftKings slate from a tournament perspective. This weekend, we got a lot of slates going on, and with me to break it down, the Dream Team, Bobby Millions, Josiah, the MILF Slayer, and of course, the Shark Lab himself. Burns is with us. And we're going to break it all down. Josiah's got the Panthers jersey going. I see BobbyWow. I'm assuming you're rocking some Bear swag over there. There it is.
Yeah, baby.
Burns is still salty about that OSU loss.
What? I'm not salty about it at all. Honestly, I was watching the game and I was like, I was watching it and my dad was going nuts and I'm just like, yeah, man, I know the reason why they're losing right now. He goes, why? I go, Ryan Day's calling the fucking offensive plays. That's why.
That guy's got to go. Guy's got to go.
So get rid of him.
He could stay. He just got to go from playing offensive play calling. We would have taken him. But
I don't know. That was a pretty big beating.
No, it wasn't. Dude, it was just like the Indiana game before, the week before. It was like, it was not a beat down by any stretch. Indiana had no business beating us. Our kicker sucks ass. Yeah. Cheers.
Yes. Well, we were worried about you last week, but I'm glad to see you got the fire back.
Yeah,
And
we're good.
This is the time to have the fire because we've got a big weekend of football action. And I have to tell you, one of the least, let's call it clear-cut path. I have no idea who's winning these games. This is a wide open playoffs this year like we've never seen before. I've been doing Draft-a-Palooza best ball drafts, and man, it's hard to figure out like which team we're going to load up on and which ones are going to advance. Very tricky. So hopefully we're going to be able to break this all down. So what I've started with is an overall breakdown of the entire slate. So I wanted to see the ownerships for the Saturday through Monday to kind of get a sense of where the field thinks are like the really good plays versus the not so good plays, right? So quarterback position, guys, just take a look on screen if you could see it. At the very bottom, and the worst game, I think, by far, the Steelers-Texans game, Aaron Rodgers, no one wants a piece of that. No one wants any of that. We've got the Rams on the road at the Panthers, and no one wants a piece of Bryce Young in the big slate. No one wants to touch it, Josiah.
I mean, I get it. I get it. I mean, Bryce Young did have his big game against the same Rams team at home, so it's worth noting. But when it comes to logic and reasoning, I get it.
Dude, it's wide open. Anything can happen.
Exactly.
Even the Panthers could win. I think one of the better bets of the weekend. You know, I saw a statistic that just betting underdogs in the wild card round is a good thing to do. Always take the points in the wild card round, especially a home dog like the Pan. That is like screaming buy.
I've already done it. Already done it.
Yeah. Brock Purdy. No one's buying Brock Purdy on the road at the Eagles. People don't want anything to do with that. Understandable. CJ Stroud, garbage. Caleb Williams, perceived bad matchup, BobbyWow. I think that's why he's kind of lower on the ownership scale. Same with Herbert, tough game on the road at the Patriots. You start to get into favorites like Jordan Love. His team is favored, but they're on the road. Divisional matchup. No one wants to play Jordan Love.
Yeah, first game back too. He's going to be, coming back from that concussion. Right, it's been a couple weeks now. Yeah,
I'm not gonna over concern the concussion. I always say a concussion's not quite the same thing as a hammy injury. It's
I'm just
back.
Talking about the field ownership and part of why it's low.
Yeah, haven't seen too much of him. And then the popular quarterbacks, Josh Allen, of course, at the top of the list. Jalen Hurts, right up there as well. Trevor Lawrence on the road at Buffalo, but Trevor Lawrence, one of the hottest quarterbacks to end the season.
Yeah. Well, he's at home. Trevor Lawrence is at home.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Even better. He's at home. Flip. It's hard for my brain to even accept that the Jaguars are home against the Bills, right? How's that? What? But yes, that's right. At home. And I really like Lawrence there, right? He's going to get a lot of ownership. So those three are the three primary quarterbacks that people are on. And secondarily, it's pretty much Matthew Stafford and Drake May. When I look at fantasy points per dollar, yeah, it pretty much agrees. Outside of Stafford really does not get, let's go to props. Yeah. Stafford's projection in a fantasy points per dollar range seems like the least good. He's the same price as Josh Allen on this big slate, but it's Matthew Stafford. It's, a guy who needs to throw for every touchdown that they're going to have. I feel like I'd prefer Josh Allen for the same price. So I get why it's cheaper. And Drake May as well at that same price range. So just with this background, guys, we'll go across here quick, and then I'll shift focus to the 2 and the 3 game slate, and we'll look at those. But for the big slate overall, do we kind of agree with these ownerships? Is there a low-owned sneaky play here, Burns, that is popping for you, that you're like, man, that is what I want to get on? Or are you pretty much in alignment that, Allen, top dog, Hurts and Lawrence right there, and then so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think you do have to play some of these low-owned guys. If you're just residing on Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence and the top-owned guys, it's going to be a long weekend for you because they can fail just as well as the other guys below them in terms of salary as well as projection. We've seen it time and time again on these small slates that, the guys that are the highest owned guys are generally the guys that, just put up okay games and from a fantasy perspective. And they're the guys that, you just really need to have that other guy. Maybe it is Brock Purdy. Maybe it is Jordan Love. I don't know. Who is it going to be? We're going to find out tomorrow and Sunday and Monday. So, but, there are a couple of plays here that I'm kind of skittish on. I have reservations on a couple of these high-owned guys. I mean, I've been off of Josh Allen on the road all year round, and it's paid dividends. He's not a good quarterback on the road this year. He's been very poor this year. He has the worst QBR of anybody that we're looking at from a perspective of actually playing them. So I'm really kind of off on him. I don't like this ownership on him. I'm going to save him for single entry in cash. And I'm going to be completely off him in the MMEs because of the fact of his ownership. He's the highest salaried quarterback. He's the least efficient quarterback on the road. And I'd rather have Jordan Love all day than him on the road because Jordan Love is the quarterback on the road. He is a super efficient guy on the road. And I would actually rather have him on the road than at home. And especially because I get him at $1,700 cheaper than Allen. So it's going to be tricky. I mean, this is going to be a tricky week at quarterback. I don't think quarterback is a slam dunk by any stretch.
Yeah, it's tricky for sure. I would say this, though. This is what I'm going to add in a difference between the playoffs and the regular season. The regular season, there's a lot of down game. You're not up for it, especially on the road, that kind of thing where the team isn't hyped. This is the playoffs, baby. They're going to play their best. These teams are going to put out their best efforts. So like, look for teams to do what they do best. That's a big part of how I like to think about the playoffs. Teams are going to just do their best. They're going to do what they do, but they're not getting cute. This is it, right? You're one and you're done. So I do think these studs will shine, but maybe some of the young bucks will shine too and surprise us at a lower price, which to your point could be a Joe Low there on the road in a pretty good defensive matchup with the Bears, who I don't think are a scary defense, even if they've had pretty decent statistics this year. I'm not convinced they're this scary defense. Josiah, the MILF Slayer in the building. I love that part of the song, by the way. It's my favorite.
It's every time. I don't even claim that, but I still like that part.
That's it. How are you feeling about the QB position this week? I can, we've got this big slate where everything's kind of spread out, but then of course, beloved Panthers are at home in that 2-gamer with just the Rams and the Panthers and the Packers and the Bears with the Rams game, in fairness, or that with the Packers-Bears game seeming like a more sexy overall game. And I think the Panthers come in with that low team total, but they could shock the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, especially, I'm more of a daily guy. So I've really kind of looked more at like the Saturday and Sunday slates. And we'll talk about it more as a whole too. But for me, looking at between those two games, I feel like the Packers and Bears have more complete defenses than the Rams and Panthers, just in the sense of the Rams can be attacked with their small, undersized cornerbacks, and the Panthers are just rough around the edges in general when it comes to defense outside of Derek Brown and J.C. Horn, whereas the Packers and Bears are kind of just pretty solid across the board. So I like the first game a little bit more here. When it comes to quarterbacks as a whole, though, I like you mentioned, Geek, I do like the upside of guys like Allen and Hurts running a bit more now that we're in the playoffs, kind of saying, hey, screw my body, we got to win this game. And I think Josh Allen will probably have to do that towards the second half if this game stays close. So one of the reasons I'm not trying to completely fade those guys, but like Burns said, I think you do have to get a little weird here with some of these low-owned quarterbacks. And the 2 to 3 guys that are on my radar are, of course, Jordan Love for the reasons Burns mentioned, but also he hasn't had like the slate breaking, we need Jordan Love slates too often this season. But when he's mid-range on these smaller slates, he's just one of those quarterbacks that tends to do enough for us to kind of hit the nuts lineup. So he's someone that I want to be over the field on. Caleb Williams, I just like his rushing upside. So he's not someone I'm going to be super over the field on, but I'll be close to field weight exposure. CJ Stroud is one that's standing out for me. His O-line has improved a lot. The Steelers defense is tough. Like, they are intense. Not to like to pick on too much, but at low ownership, there's enough there for me to not be shocked if he can get it going with a Nico Collins, Higgins stack, or even add Schultz into the mix a little bit too for the full main slate. And last but not least, I've only played Bryce Young 2 times this season, but we're going to make it 3.
Yeah, baby.
He's done it once in this matchup. And like I said, the Panthers have big receivers. Coker looks small on TV, but he's a bigger receiver. Same for Tet. He doesn't look small on TV, though. You can tell he's tall. And the Rams are undersized with their cornerbacks. And so if the Panthers are going to win this game, it's going to be a mix of either the run game can somehow make it happen against this really good front 7 of the Rams, or the big receivers for Carolina are able to bully the smaller cornerbacks. So I'll be over on that too.
I like it. Let's see here. We got a super chat. Look outside your window. What's up, my man? Over the field weighted player of the weekend and gummy play of the weekend. So our favorite over that we'll cover that as we continue on. Who's that player? Start thinking about it now, guys, who we're just like straight over the field on. And of course, that 5,000 milligram, let's get crazy on the gummy time, stupid player that will win us the big tournament this weekend. So we'll keep that in mind as we press on. BobbyWow, looking at the whole slate itself, we're kind of talking through quarterbacks, and obviously, Josh Allen's popping as the top dog. And you know what? His projection absolutely justifies it. I love it when everybody's expensive. the difference between, to me, Josh Allen and most of the other guys is like Josh Allen is not, he's got to do it all himself. A lot of times for him to smash, he's running in touchdowns himself. So he's producing those outside scores with the legs. They don't really have that much going on at the pass catching spots for the Bills. So he really has to do it with the legs a little bit, especially against a Jaguars team that is pretty good against running backs. Like they've been decent against the running back. So even more pressure to perform for Josh Allen there and getting it done with the legs. But looking at the slate as a whole, Bobby Wow, is anybody kind of popping for you as like, oh, this is a little sneaky, or it's hard to get sneaky with 6 games, but let's do our best.
Yeah, I think I agree for the most part with what everybody said. That's been a really good assessment so far. I think the Josh Allen love is partly indicative of maybe a lot of these other guys just not being that exciting, right? It's kind of not a great spot for Josh Allen on paper. The Jags have been really good defensively. He's on the road. Burns highlighted all those really important metrics that I think, kind of go to show why he's not a great play on paper. But the reality is there's not a ton of super exciting options outside of him on the slate. And that's why his ownership is so high, not because he's an amazing play per se. But we know he's got the upside. To me, I think, if there's one guy that I'd call out a little bit that hasn't been talked about is Brock Purdy here. Philly, reigning Super Bowl champs, I'm expecting them to look like a different football team at kickoff. Brock Purdy played arguably his worst game of the season last week, looked absolutely terrible after being on just an insane heater. To me, I don't know. It just feels like a game that's going to be much higher scoring than people are expecting. I think we see big games out of both Hurts and Barkley, which means I also think we see big games out of both Purdy and McCaffrey, kind of keeping things close. So if there's a guy that's kind of under the radar for me on the whole slate, I think Brock Purdy is probably that guy.
No one mentioned Purdy. So absolutely. Although I'm surprised you didn't go with Caleb at home, who no one's talking about either. Maybe it's Caleb at home.
Of course I'm playing Caleb at home, but we all know that.
I know you're doing that. All right. So I've thought about kind of how to work this and kind of how to mix in the other 2 slates. And what I want to do is, what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to pop over to the Saturday only, and we're going to just do a quick assessment of the quarterback position for this Saturday only. And just real quick, everybody's going to get one quick chance to talk on this one. We're going to Sunday, same deal, and then move on. So I'm looking at the Saturday only, guys. You see, we've got Stafford on tap at almost 50% ownership. He's a fun quarterback to use in that slate. Of course, we like the wide receivers he's connected to. He's really easy to stack, but he's massively more expensive than everybody else, and he does not project that much better. So Stafford's coming in at 18.5, and Jolo and Caleb are at about 17 for a full 1,500 less. So that's really interesting. Ownership does not kind of reflect what I think the projections are showing. Burns, if you've got to pick just one quarterback to go with, and just quick thoughts on this slate in general, what are you doing Saturday only?
Saturday only, I think it's a tough slate from a quarterback perspective. I mean, Matt Stafford is the highest price, but I don't think he's going to be the highest. I don't think at the end of the day his fantasy points are going to be the highest. I think it's going to come out of the Chicago game. I think it's going to be a back and forth affair. I mean, the line is already telling us that it's a -1.5 spread. It's going to be a very difficult. This is the most difficult game when I looked at all these games to predict who would win this game. Jordan Love, like I said before, he is extremely well. He's extremely good this year on the road. He's got his full complement of receivers. He's got Dobbs. He's got Watson, who may be the best of them all, and then he's got Reed, and Reed has got a really good matchup in the slot. And then you just got nobody really at tight end. Luke Musgrave, but then you got a healthy Josh Jacobs back. And then on the other side of the ball, you got all the receivers back too, and you got Colson Loveland and, a timeshare at running back. I just think it's going to be a very intriguing game, and I think this is where the most points on this slate is going to be had at the quarterback position as well as in the game totals.
Josiah, sack up and fade Stafford. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was pretty easy. I like all 3 quarterbacks more than Stafford, and he's the highest owned. That was just
by far.
Yeah, by far. So I was just uncheck Stafford, play everybody else. And then, of course, double the field on Young. But like Burns mentioned, I love this spot for Love and Williams. So fade the chalk, play the lower owned guys.
Very easy to get that leverage if you're going to have a 50% owned quarterback on a 2-game slate. Remember, guys, if you're attacking the slate with the domination station, you must allow players versus defense, or you are going to limit yourself and your player pool in a negative way. Make sure to do that. BobbyWow, what would BobbyWow do with 50% owned Matthew Stafford?
My thoughts are the same. I'm covered. Burnsy, Josiah nailed it. That's where I'm going to.
All right, BobbyWow, Sunday only slate. Stay with me. Quarterback position. You can trust the MILF Hunter. This is not true. This is not true. BobbyWow, stay with me. Sunday only. Allen and so this is a much flatter structure at the quarterback position. Again, Saturday's really interesting because you've got that one guy coming up 45, 50%. Stafford, fade it. If it doesn't work out, who cares? We got another slate on Sunday. If it does work out, you get to have massive exposure to the other 3 guys and who are 1,500 less. And we'll see. I need to check that slate to see kind of how salaries, if you're really helped by that. But any slate with Puka and Devontae Adams on it, you probably need salary, right? You're probably looking for some salary. So Sunday only, BobbyWow. Allen, Hurts, about the same. Trevor Lawrence. And interesting in this one, your guy Brock Purdy not getting a whole lot of love here. We've got this what seemingly tougher defensive matchup, but not that bad. So how do you see this slate going down?
Yeah, look, I think on the Sunday only, it's a little bit different, right? Brock Purdy is significantly cheaper than he is on this slate. That just overall, like his price on the Saturday through Monday is much different relative to the others than the Sunday only. So not quite as exciting for me. And again, I'm not calling him my guy. I'm just saying if there's anyone I think will pop that is overlooked right now, it's probably Brock Purdy. So that doesn't change for me here. This Bills Jaguars game, I'm worried that it gets messy. I'm worried that it gets ugly and that we see 2 offenses, one on the Jag side that hasn't been experienced, right? They're not used to being in the playoffs. And then the Bills, who really have been super up and down all season, mostly being down. So I'm a little bit worried about the offensive messiness in this game, which leads me toward that Philly San Francisco game. I really like Jalen Hurts quite a bit here. Jalen, I hate the ownership, but to me, his rushing upside, his price is really solid here at 6,300. There's a lot to like about him and Barkley as well. But Jalen Hurts to me is the obvious top dog on this slate. And then it's kind of everyone else. So for me, it'll be Jalen, then Brock Purdy probably, and then a mixture of the other guys relatively evenly.
Yeah, I really like that game in general. So I like that. Kind of like this game has a lot of upside. I love San Francisco this season, their offense, how they score. But, flip side, guys, is 51.5 point total, even spread here. This Jaguars-Bills game promises to be really sexy. Josiah, you see anything different about kind of how the slate breaks down compared to what BobbyWow just said? He's focused a little more on Hurts. I love Hurts as well. He's been okay this year. He's not been like any kind of amazing. But it's the playoffs, man. What do you do? I like the running quarterbacks in the playoffs again because what are you afraid to get hurt? Exactly. Win or you go home anyway. You got to go all out to ball out in the playoffs. That's, similar with Allen, though. He's going to be out there going nuts, but he always does that.
Yeah. Bobby, you mentioned that you could see this Bills Jaguars game getting ugly. I feel that way about every single game on this slate.
Yeah.
All the matchups, you couldn't have made them better. Like they are both like all the teams, even like the 49ers, Eagles, you have a coach that's won Super Bowls, has been really good. And then you have the 49ers coach who's trying to get that Super Bowl ring. Usually I'll pick the Niners in a wild card game because they can usually do that. But against Philly, I don't know. I'm a bit more nervous about it. So all of these can get gross. But for me, Saturday, I'm fading the chalk. Sunday, I'm starting to sniff it a little bit more. I'm playing a lot of Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Trevor Lawrence. And then I'm trying to get over the field on Drake May. I don't love the Purdy play, but y'all are getting me close to thinking about taking a shot on it. And then Herbert, I just haven't played a ton of this season, and I don't plan on starting now against the Patriots, who haven't played a ton of guys against. So that's kind of how I'm treating these guys.
Very tricky Sunday slate. You got to be real balanced, I think, in your approach in MME. Burns, any thoughts to add to the quarterbacks on the Sunday slate?
Yeah, I think Justin Herbert could have the actual matchup that we want him to have this weekend. He's actually in a plus matchup in this one. And I actually don't mind him at all. I wrote him up. He has been pretty efficient. He hasn't really been that great towards the East Coast, but this is the playoffs, so anything can happen. But yeah, he'll be in my player pool simply because I think he can actually get it done. And he's going up against a really young opposite side of the field offense that really hasn't been in these kind of games outside of Stephon Diggs. And so that's really why I don't really like Drake May in this game. I love him at home. I think he's great. I think he's had a great year. But we're talking about the playoffs here. Justin Herbert has been in these situations before. He's got stout guys with Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston. And plus the run game. I mean, they got Omari and Hampton, who may or may not play. So the run game in this one, I think, is kind of up in the air. I think this is a passing game all the way. And this is why I really like Justin Herbert in this game. I'm not looking at to go way above field ownership on him. I'm thinking I'm going to be around 10, 15% on him, which is probably going to exceed the field. I think he's at the 10 range. I don't think he eclipses it. But yeah, that's the way I look at that game. And then when we look at the San Francisco game, I'm 100% in agreement with Bobby on this one. I think Brock Purdy can ball out in this game. I think he has one of the higher ceilings of a non-running quarterback on the entire slate of games this weekend. And I know the ownership is there, but I think George Kittle could have an absolute monster game in this one, even though the matchup doesn't project it to be that way. And I think this is where Brock Purdy actually gains the fantasy relevance, is that he has George Kittle in this one. I don't know about what Pierce Hall is going to do. I don't know if he's going to be healthy for this one or not. I'd rather see him out in this one than actually in. And I don't think Jawan Jennings has a good game at all. I think it's just McCaffrey, Kittle, and Purdy all day long.
So I'm just going to add a couple things, and understandable things about these matchups in general. I always like to look at running back dominance. And when I'm looking at these quarterbacks, I'm trying, all right, hey, everybody's going to play. So my default position in the playoffs is the teams are going to play well. The offenses are going to play well. Like, don't expect flat. Maybe they come out flat in the first quarter. That could happen first in the wild card round, especially. Some teams maybe rested some guys last week. But for the most part, my default position in the playoffs is believe what we know about these teams. So on the downside for Purdy, it's just that it's a team that has a dominant running back, and they're actually going up against an Eagles defense that is better to be attacked via the run than the pass. So, if things kind of go how they sort of should go, you would think that a lot of that, if the 49ers are doing well, McCaffrey will eat a lot of those fantasy points. So that's the only downside for me. Of course, hey, variance happens. You never know. But that's one of those teams where I think, all right, they have a dominant enough running back that they can kind of, they can win, but Purdy still not do that well. I think that's why he's on the low end of ownership range. Kind of same. We've seen a little bit of the same with Drake May this year, where certain games, their running game just dominates so effectively that you just don't have the big scores from Drake May. So I think those guys add a little bit more risk than maybe, it's like I don't see Travis Etienne being a dominant, eat all the fantasy points running back for the Jaguars. That's probably not going to happen. I have a better belief that Trevor Lawrence could run for 2 touchdowns than Travis Etienne, dominating and doing that. And similarly with Hurts, as much as we all like Saquon Barkley, his dominant games have been few and far between this year. So I still feel pretty confident that we'll get Hurts needing to do a lot more in that game relative to, some of these other quarterbacks that can rely a little more on the running game. So when it comes for certainty, yeah, I do think Lawrence gives us more certainty. I think Hurts and Allen, I think those guys do give more certainty on the slate. They're the better cash game plays for all intents and purposes. But, it's a 3-gamer. and you never know. Yeah, right. We're looking for favored home quarterbacks at when possible, but anything goes in the playoffs. So let's move on and talk about the wide receiver group. Again, I'm kind of not sure how I want to do this. If we want to look at the whole Saturday through Monday thing, or just kind of go Saturday only, look at the wide receivers from that, and then kind of shift gears. What do you guys think?
Let's bounce back. Might as well bounce back and forth at this point. Go Saturday positions, Sunday positions. I think that's kind of what the chat's wanting. A running back, though, not wide receiver.
Oh, well, all right. So we'll try that for running back. I just noticed that Puka will be 95% owned. That's pretty intense in that slate. But all right, running back position. So this is the Saturday only. We have probably each of these teams, for the most part, have 2 running backs that get on the field. So let's talk about these guys, right? Josh Jacobs, the highest owned guy, in the least split of all of them, I would say. He's claiming, quote, "I'm the healthiest I've been in months."
Love that.
Great, right? And that's a good matchup for Josh Jacobs against the Bears right there. Best matchup, best spot. But Jacobs is a disappointment machine too. Let's not forget, Josh Jacobs will ruin your day more often than not. And another disappointment machine. Another stinker is Kyren Williams, right? Like Kyren Williams is a disappointment machine, a disappointing fellow indeed, right? 62% own Kyren. That's as dangerous as it gets. This guy's in a split with Blake Corum at this point, 60-40. It's scary as hell. Then you got, of course, Swift, also in a bit of a split with Monangai, but Swift being in the stronger part of that, but not that much stronger, right? It's like a I don't know, a 3-2 type deal. And then the combo of Dowdle and Chuba. It's craziness out here. This reminds me of that slate, that 2-gamer we had a couple of weeks ago, where none of the pay-up running backs came through, and it was like Charbonnet and some other turd that got there. So 2-game slate, guys. Give me a little breakdown, Burns. How are you treating the running back position for the 2-game with all this chalk and all this concern, especially possible bad chalk in some of these spots?
Yeah, this slate probably has the worst chalk at RB than the other 3-gamer. But yeah, this is a weird one because all these two running back guys are viable. Even in Carolina, I mean, it's a 50-50 almost at this point in time of the timeshare, and then you got Monangai and DeAndre Swift. That's near 50%. But the one that Kyron's at least got more towards the 60% than the others, but it's not that great because Blake Corum actually does more. He produces when he's on the field, and he could actually produce quite well. And when we're talking about,
I wish he was a little less expensive, Burns. Like, give me the 4,800 Corum, not this like priced as a starter version.
But he would be higher owned.
Yeah.
And so, like, Blake Corum, I don't know how this slate's going to go, but Blake Corum, I mean, if he scores like 12, 15 points, I mean, he could be the winning guy. It's just a weird, like, I don't know. This is more of a defensive slate than any other slate that I've seen in the wild cards prior. But yeah, I mean, I would probably have a blanketed ownership across the entirety of the field. I wouldn't go too heavy on one guy versus another. But I mean, there are a couple of guys down below there that you can X out completely because they're not going to hit the field at all. But potentially Emmanuel Wilson in that mix. But Josh Jacobs might be the only guy that's the pure, stud running back on the slate.
I agree. Josiah, any thoughts on this running back group?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs said he's healthy, so I have to believe him, right? Especially if he's the only running back who sees the vast majority of the carries here. So he's the only running back I'll be close to field weight, slightly over the field on. That's super chalky here. Kevin, like we're on the same page here. I can't trust Kyren Williams. I never have this entire season. Not going to start now. But like Burns mentioned, I'm willing to get exposure to the lower owned guys who aren't in a bad spot here against the Panthers. So Blake Corum, someone I like being over the field on. And really, I'm just thinking about getting weird, just making sure I have exposure to these guys. Call it a bias, but I have a lean with Rico Dowdle. He'll have the first opportunity here when the game starts. And if he can get going, he'll see the majority of the touches here. You can tell they don't believe in Chuba too much, but he still is on the field and getting opportunities. So I'm prioritizing Rico Dowdle, and then Blake Corum is really the guys I like to get weird of and weird on. And then that's pretty much it. Outside of that, I'm with Burns. I'm just kind of keeping everything else pretty balanced and just making sure I don't forget anybody on a 2-gamer.
In my study of these 2-game slates, what you have to understand is I talk about this all the time. Like, let's say Josh Jacobs does smash BobbyWow. Let's say he smashes.
Okay.
If you took and we're now back testing, and we already have the hindsight information, and we're doing the back testing the way that we back test, which is I only care about the highest scoring lineup that my back test can produce. Can I win this tournament? There'd be no different. Like if you capped him at 60% or ran him at 100%, it's not even going to make a difference in your highest lineup. That's what embracing the chalk is on a 2-game slate. It doesn't even help you. You're like, wow, yeah, you probably put a few more lineups in the money line, and maybe you walk away with a couple extra pennies for the contest as a whole, but it doesn't really affect it. There's almost no effect on your highest score. What does affect your highest score is Blake Corum smashes, and instead of having 10%, because I went more level, I have 30%. I have massive leverage on the field on a low-owned player. Those are the moves that help you win these. With that being said, BobbyWow, looking at this running back group, you got your Bears, your beloved Bears running backs here, Swift and Monungai, as well as part of this mix. How do you see playing this? Are you kind of on board with like Kyren, under the field, even weight like Burns talked about, little extra Dowdle? Like,
yeah, look,
saying.
I think I'm under the field on Kyren as well. Not to say that he can't smash, but to me, he's the most sensible guy to get underweight on, so I can get more exposure to these guys below. I personally do not see how Josh Jacobs doesn't smash. Josh Jacobs, he's been rested. The Bears line is rough. Their defense is not a good defense. They rely strictly on turnovers. That if they get 2 turnovers, they win games. If they get less than 2 turnovers, they lose games. That's just the reality of the situation. They are not a strong defense. Plain and simple. And Josh Jacobs, I don't see how he doesn't get 15 to 20 plus touches here, at least. So I think the Packers are going to ride him. I don't see any reason why he won't be able to pay off that salary relative to the rest of the field. He's a smash play. There's no doubt about it. Kyren, not so much. Josh Jacobs, yes. He'll be my primary own. I don't mind eating the chalk there. I really think Kyle Monungai scores a touchdown in this game. I think Kyle Monungai is really, really intriguing at that price tag. The Bears like him a lot. He's a guy that pounds the rock. He's more of a punishing back than Swift is. And I think we see him get some touches in the red zone near the goal line again. So I think he scores a touchdown. I'll be double to triple the field on him. And Blake Corum as well. I think Blake Corum's a guy at that price you got to have some leverage on. So to me, Josh Jacobs is a clear smash. That being said, I wouldn't be shocked if we had a 2 running back in the flex that aren't these top 3 names. So I'll definitely have my exposure. I talked about Monungai. I like him a lot. Corum, I like him a lot at that price and ownership, especially 10%. And then, yeah, give me Josh Jacobs. I just do not see. Look, maybe I'm emotionally hedging here, but I just don't see how he doesn't smash, truly.
I like that, Bobby. I love your confidence. Scruffy Hogan is saying weather in Chicago.
Let me address that quick too.
Yeah.
That is going to be overblown across the industry. The weather is going to be overblown in Chicago across the industry. There's going to be some rain and snow during the daytime. By the time the game comes, all of that will be essentially cleared out. You know, we might see like 15 to 20 mile-an-hour winds, but that's Soldier Field, baby. Teams are used to that. That's nothing abnormal. So don't let the weather influence you in this game, please.
That's an average game in Soldier Field. That's nothing new or special at all. I just want to mention a couple little like sneaky techniques here, guys. So we're looking at this 2-game slate, and I'll take your guys' feedback on it, but we're looking at the 2-game slate. So I do also want people to think about running back relative to quarterback and understanding that, hey, if the running back is smashing, a lot of times that's eating away from the quarterback. Not always. Yes, Travis Etienne randomly caught 2 touchdowns from Trevor Lawrence one week, but man, the guy's had like a 3-year career of not doing that, and it happened in one game. That's not how it's normally going to go. So with that being said, I have some like little quirky things you could do here with a Stafford fade would be to pump Kyron, but Kyron and Blake Corum or the combination of both of those running backs in the same lineup in a Puka, Adams, and Stafford all fail approach. So I want, as lineups are being built, here it is. Tell the story of what's happening in that scenario. What if Swift and Monungai get there? Well, if that's happening, we're probably not getting there if we're with Caleb and his pass catchers. It's just one of those games where the running backs dominate. So as you're handcrafting lineups for the slate, I want that to keep in mind. Those things to keep in mind. You have to kind of like, it's just 2 games. So if I'm playing Puka and I'm playing Devontae, is it really sharp to put to Kyron Williams in there? No. Right. So I
wholeheartedly agree. My one caution is on a 2-game slate, the story has far less pages. Okay. So there are so many more things that could happen that are just so different than a normal slate. You could see guys like, Josh Jacobs with Jordan Love, for example, which we never saw in the regular season because it's a 2-gamer. That's something that could play out. That's my only caution there. Yeah.
And that's why you can't account for everything, guys. You can only account for what you can account for. Let's stick with this slate. Let's keep going with the 2-gamer, and we'll take a quick look at wide receivers because, my goodness, there is some chalk on this one. That's the highest ownership I've ever seen on any player in any slate across all of DFS outside of maybe like, I don't know, that time when Taysom Hill was a tight end playing quarterback and everybody who didn't play him was an idiot, right? Like 94%. I mean, is there no chance of this man failing, Burns? We've seen Puka have not that great of a game.
There's always a chance someone can fail.
That is crazy. I love Puka, but my goodness, right? I think part of that is because there's just not anything to spend money on. When you look at this slate, it almost forces you to want to go to Puka and Stafford because you can't really spend it. There's no other way. What am I going to do? What am I going to play freaking Coker instead and leave $5K on the table? Like, what are we doing? But you have to do it if you're trying to win $1 million. But I'm saying, like, look at this, 94% owned, Burns. That's crazy.
Yeah, the only thing about that logic, or like the percentage of ownership logic here, is you're either going to just play him in every single lineup or fade him because there's no in between. You can't. It's the similar situation with Josh Jacobs and the example that you gave. If you play him and you play him at 100%, you have essentially almost zero leverage on the entirety of the field. So where the leverage is if you full flat out fade the guy.
Yeah, well, I want to clarify 100%.
For people listening. Fade him.
When you said fade, so for the audience who's listening, when Burns says fade, remember the light fade. Fading Puka might mean I'm only going to roll 60% exposure. When you use the term fade, you didn't mean I will not play him or I'm going to play him every line. So just want to clarify that because people misunderstand that.
Yeah. So when I talk about fade, like I use maxes on my players. And so if I fade a player, I'm going to lower his max to a percentage that I feel most comfortable with, where I believe that he is going to potentially get to. And that is just an internal percentage that I know because every player on every slate has a percentage of failure. And that's usually what I use as my percentage to get these players to. I think Puka has by far, he could be the stud of the slate. I think he is the stud receiver of the slate. That aside, to win money on this 2-game slate, I think you're going to have to fade him fully, like 100% full out fade, and take your chances with the full fade and play Devontae Adams and believe that Devontae Adams could get 2 touchdowns in this game like he did earlier this season in this same exact game. And Puka Nacua failed. He got, I think it was 12. It was 12 to 15, I believe.
13 points.
13. Yep. So Devontae got 25. But the flip side is, if you don't want to full fade him, you have to play him 100% in your lineups, because you're just not doing yourself any justice.
Really tricky.
Yeah.
Let's scroll down, guys, and talk about the rest of the slate. Obviously, the Puka question is huge, gentlemen. But I think it's obvious to everybody watching. Puka's awesome, all right, but we've also seen him put up a 15 and a 17, and if he doesn't absolutely go bananas, maybe he won't be in the nuts lineup, but maybe he still will, because this slate kind of allows for, hey, if he just gets a 15, it's still fine also. And I highly doubt, I would almost say almost impossible that like Puka comes in without an injury and doesn't at least get 12 or 14 fantasy points in a game. As the nut said, even a 17, which is a massive disappointment versus his salary here, that might still get it done, but might not. That's
the question I was going to ask, is if you're fading him, you better think for sure that 3 other guys are scoring 15. 3 other wide receivers are getting to 15. That has to happen on a 2-game slate.
And I think you could find those 3, and they might be hidden, maybe. BobbyWow. So let's talk about that. They might be hidden. A lot of times those guys surprise you, right? And it's like, man, I never would have done that, right? The last 2-game slate, I can't remember. I don't recall the results, but I remember being like, I was never doing this. Whatever happened, I was like, this was now. It was like Xavier Smith, and it was like 3 turds that you would never play together in the same lineup, and they all got there. But let's take a look at some of these lower owned guys. So first of all, Christian Watson, that's my guy all season. He's not lower owned. He's pretty heavily owned. But Teteroa, he's great. But there've been plenty of games where Coker has outscored him, Josiah.
I mean, I like T-Mac as much as the next guy, but when it comes to DFS, he's kind of bleh for me. Yeah. He's kind of just present. Sometimes he'll have a lot of catches, but typically he's not a high volume guy either. So on a 2-gamer, he makes sense, but he's not my favorite receiver to ever play in DFS.
Let me ask you guys this, BobbyWow. If you're trying to win $1 million, right, and you have a choice, you could play Ted McMillan, or but you could play Ted McMillan, or you could play Romeo Doubs, right? And you have this choice. Now, what are the odds to you that that Ted McMillan outscores Romeo Doubs on Saturday?
I don't think they're that high. I think they're relatively even, to be honest with you. And I think that part of that's because of Bryce Young, and his volatility. But yeah, to me, I think Romeo Doubs, I'd say, has a 40% chance of scoring as many points as Ted.
There you go. That's kind of what I'm talking. Yeah, well, sure. The projection for Ted McMillan is 12.5 on the props. The Doubs projection is much lower at 8.5. So yeah, in a bucket, if you play it out 1,000 times, I think Ted McMillan would outscore him more often than not, but not that much more often to where it justifies 50% ownership on one guy. And so how do you...
But that's not even the question. To me, the question is Ted or Roma Dunze, Ted or Christian Watson. Roma Dunze is 12% owned. Are you kidding me? I know he's been hurt, but he looks healthy, and he's Caleb's guy.
Cheaper than he's been in a long time.
Holy cow. Even, DJ Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs for sure. That's a great example because he's way cheaper. But even the guys in between, you could make a very good case for. So
plenty.
To your point.
God, or even thank you for highlighting that comparison was disrespectful. That was the most important thing.
Yeah, that was a shot fired. It felt like more than
Doubs. No. Yeah. I tried to make it. I didn't want.
But I agree.
I'm trying to do it for the greater emphasis on the fact that these turd wide receivers, or what we perceive as a turd, in a consistency battle of a season-long fantasy football league, that is not the same. We've got one game, and Odunze, but short. Not just Odunze, Jaden Reed. What about Jaden Reed? We've seen Jaden Reed just randomly put up a 25 many times throughout his career, and you're never expecting it, and you're not sure when it's coming. But like Jaden Reed could be the highest scoring wide receiver on this entire slate at 4,600. And then if you get a slate where it's Burden, Reed, and Coker, and you're just like, wow, I can't believe it. Puka and Devontae and all these guys, and it was these three. That's how you win the Monies. That's how you take down big tournaments. With that being said, that's probably not how you win like a 10-person league. If you start pulling some shenanigans like that, you're definitely going to be giving away a lot of money. So, if I'm in a 10-person league, I'm going to play the highest projected guys every time, and put my projections against yours. Let's rock.
Well, that's how you have to play that.
Well, there you go, Burns. Well.
Yeah, I mean, all right. Let me preface the Puka thing a little bit further. I would want, if I'm playing high dollar single entry contests on Saturday, and I'm playing high dollar or any dollar amount cash, he is 100% in my lineup. 100%.
Yeah.
If I am playing the 50-cent mini max and I'm max entering that thing with 158 to 178,000 people in it, and 94% of them are going to have Puka Nacua, I would probably it would probably benefit me in my $75 that I put into that contest to 100% fade him, because I am no longer competing with 168,000 to 170,000 entrants in that contest. I am now competing with 8,000 players, because those 8,000 entries faded him.
Yeah.
And so that's the commonality here. That's kind of why, like I said, you're either going to play him at 100% or you're going to play him at 0% because of the fact of his ownership.
Burns, I'll add in this. In the small contest, your opponent has him too. It's just a free square. It's not helping you. It's not hurting you. You don't care if he gets a 0. If he gets a 0, it will not hurt your score at all in that.
That's right.
Now, 94% own Puka. I'm going to say this one last thing, and then I'll show you the chalk cash lineup on screen here. But 94% Puka, you might as well just fade that shit in the tournament and say, hey, he's got probably a 10% chance or greater of just getting hurt at some point in this game, or just failing for some other reason anyway. So the EV will be on the side of that fade every single time, all the time. But it's got to take a lot of balls to do it. And when you do those fades, you have to accept that 8 times out of 10 or 7 times, it's probably less than 9 times out of 10. It's probably something like 7 times out of 10. You fade the 90% owned guy, you're going to get burned by it. They're going to go Derrick Henry. They're going to score 4 touchdowns in that game. And you're like, wow, okay, this guy hasn't done shit all year. He's 90% owned and he scored 4 touchdowns. Chalk it up. For every one of those that you remember happened, 5 times the opposite thing happened and you forgot about it. So keep that in mind. Chalk lineup, guys. I just ran the projection-based lineup, and it's just chalk. Kyron, Jacobs, Puka, Adams, Reed, Loveland, Watson as your cheapies, and Jolo Rams defense to close it out.
That's crazy. I mean, you fit everyone you would want to play.
Yeah.
Comfortable. It's just wild.
The only compromise here is moving down from Stafford to a cheaper quarterback. But once you accept that compromise, every single stud is in this lineup. That's the 2-gamer. That's how it looks. Let's jump over to tight end real quick on this 2-game slate. There's really just one that's very good. And then the rest, I kind of agree with the chalk here, guys. Colson Loveland is the best tight end. Maybe, even in the big slate, he's one of my favorite tight ends, outside of Kittle. But in this one, my goodness, right? Loveland, 38% target share last week.
Are we worried about Rome coming back, impacting that at all?
No. Rome, when has Rome commanded targets? But yeah, it'll impact it a little bit, yes. But like, it's not like they priced Loveland that different. He's just, is he going to be worse than, I don't know, Parkinson, who's now competing with Tyler Higbee? I mean, I don't like those guys. Higbee and Parkinson eat from each other. That's not a good scene. That's 2 on the same freaking team.
He could be a much better play between those two to me. Yeah.
Like who's the good play? Like tell me, are we playing Luke Musgrave? We're going to hope that finally now in the playoffs, they're going to throw him the ball. I'm not willing to smoke that hope. That'd be a 10,000 milligram gummy.
Look, Loveland and Caleb are on the same page. And I'm gonna get flack for saying this. I'm not saying they're these two, okay, by any means. But during the broadcast, Tom Brady made it a point to say Loveland reminded him of Gronk because of the way he recognizes plays as they're happening. Okay, Loveland's ability to kind of audible and adjust as Caleb is doing his thing on the run has changed the game for that duo. So to me, yeah, we could see, Colson Loveland get less targets for sure, but he's going to be part of the game plan, no doubt. And he and Caleb have chemistry that is unique and undeniable at this point. So I fully agree. I think Loveland's the slam dunk play at tight end on the slate, but Higbee to me is kind of like the only other truly solid option with potential.
And I don't disagree. I think Loveland's been in a great spot. My only concern is this is a rookie tight end who we have seen get just completely not really part of the offense. They're clicking right now, but he's also the highest owned tight end too.
Yep.
The issue is there just aren't any other really good tight ends on the slate that you feel good about, but I don't love the spot.
Who are you going to play, Josiah? This is not a double tight end slate either. Normally a 2-game slate for me, I'm like double tight end, let's rock. Not today. I don't see two that I even want to play at all here. Like what? No, I don't know. Like again, Higbee and Parkinson, both individually very nice, but together, it's two great tastes that taste bad together, if you ask me. And the other guys are just, Tommy Tremble or Tommy Terrible, as I like to call him.
I mean, he got a touchdown last week.
He did get the touchdown,
but scored like 6 fantasy points somehow still. Crazy, man.
Did nothing else.
And like Luke Musgrave has been as busty of a bust as busts can be, although
he's interesting.
His fantasy points per dollar is not bad. Like if I wanted to fade some of that chalk, it's probably Musgrave at 2,600 YOLO, or even Komet. Just like he's definitely Komet. If you fade him, will score a touchdown in this game.
Musgrave is an intriguing punt if you're looking to get silly for the millie. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. All right, guys. That covers pretty much this 2-game slate. So, fade some chalk, Puka. How much do you want? How little do you want? My suggestion is, don't make him in every single lineup that you make. Give yourself some shots at a non-Puka approach. And then secondarily here on this slate, my secondary suggestion would be, don't be afraid of leaving a couple bucks on the table if you want to try to win it in a big tournament. That is how these big tournaments tend to be won. The average salary of the Nuts lineup is something like 48.5 for 2-game slates. So they definitely leave salary on the table very frequently. Let's go to Sunday and do the same exercise. Running backs, wide receivers, all of that. We already looked at the quarterbacks for the Sunday only, right?
Yep.
Yeah, individually. Yeah, we did that. So, all right, running back, much better group of names on Sunday. A lot of studs here. McCaffrey, Barkley, James Cook. Etienne's had a good year. The twins from the Patriots are on the slate, and Omarion Hampton is now claiming he is healthy and ready to play. We'll see what that looks like on Sunday. So to that backdrop, guys, obviously we all love Christian McCaffrey. 60%, it's right there. Saquon, good matchup for Saquon at home, but hasn't really gotten it done all that much for us this year. James Cook on the road, Burns. Cook on the road, better at home, better on the road.
Road
spot, yeah.
Road,
so
but it's a tough
Cook,
matchup.
Yeah,
Tough.
Very tough matchup, but who cares? Forget the defensive metrics. It's the playoffs, baby. It's the fucking playoffs. Forget that shit. That's some regular season bullshit. Metrics. If he's going to come out in beast mode in the playoffs, he's going to do it. And no amount of Jaguars nameless, faceless defensemen are going to stop it. Name me one defensive player on the Jaguars.
I don't know.
Burn. I knew it. How good could they be? I can't name a single one.
That's so irrelevant. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
One. Didn't there used to be like the no-name Miami defense was like the greatest defense ever? There was a team that was called like the no-name defense back in the day. I can't remember which one, but I can't name a single defenseman on the defensive player on the Jaguars.
That's
good. Oh yeah, Adrian Robles got one. Travis Hunter. Yeah, I knew him. I knew that one.
Oh man,
I don't know anyone on that team. All right,
wild.
All right, so that
it's interesting that they made the playoffs and he's been hurt since like week 4.
Well, I mean, Parker Washington emerged as a super stud doing the same exact thing.
I know.
That's what Hunter was supposed to do.
I wonder if they just make him into a defensive back next year.
They should.
Literal kick in the balls to every dynasty player who drafted him, in the top 4 of round 1 this year. Like, all right, he's going to be a defensive back. We like Parker Washington. I think they're going to trade Brian Thomas Jr. and do it that way, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So again, that being said, Burns, is there a preference here? I love Christian McCaffrey. Against the Eagles. The Eagles haven't been that great against the run. I don't care that it says 1 DVP. I don't believe it. Can't stop Christian McCaffrey. I don't know about Saquon Barkley. He hasn't been that great this year, but all right. Barkley there, Cook, Etienne. And I really like the New England guys, but which one do you go with? Do you play both? Ramondre's been outscoring. This is a crazy running back slate. I like 3 of them. I think it's 3 running backs.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. I think the DVP number's wrong.
Yeah, it's not right. Clearly,
it's definitely not right because the Eagles are not the first ranked defense in the league.
No.
Against the run.
No idea where that's coming
from. No, I think Christian McCaffrey's in a fantastic spot here.
This only looks at the teams in the playoffs.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes more sense.
It's comparing it against the other 6 teams, or that's why
that makes more sense.
Yeah,
I like Christian McCaffrey in this one. 60% ownership is about right on him for a slate like this. Of the 3 games, I actually like him on the big slate, the 6-game slate, the best. Because you actually get a little bit more suppressed ownership on him because of the fact that you got more running backs across the slate. So I prefer him there. But on this 3-game slate, I mean, he stands out as the best play on the entire slate. He's going up against the Philly defense that has been shredded by running backs all year. So I don't mind it here. But I mean, it goes to the same adage that we had before that, these guys that are really high owned, how do you get different? So you're going to have to figure ways on how to get different. And if you're going to play him and play him heavily, so this is why this slate is really tricky because of these ownerships. I mean, you got these stud guys and they're pushing these ownerships to stratospheric levels. And we've seen it time and time again on these short slates like this, that these guys do okay, but are they the ones that win, the massive contests? So I don't know. Well,
great.
It's going to be tricky.
Josiah, take a look at these running backs, but like one of my ways of approaching these is, again, I keep wanting to push this concept of you don't have to fade everything, but you definitely want more. The winning lineup is going to have, or let me put it this way, I would almost guarantee the winning lineup is going to pull from these lower owned guys will be in the winning lineup. One of them is going to find his way in there, and sometimes 2. So, how are you suppressing which chalk are you willing to fade a little bit to get a little more Ramondre or Trevion or, roll a couple shares out of Omarion or something like that in there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guy for me I'm the least excited about is James Cook in this range. And it's really just because I like the other guys in that price range more. Like, I really like being over the field on Travis Etienne. Been picking on the Bills all year. That's something I'm going to continue to do even in the playoffs. And so he's a guy I'm looking to prioritize, which on this slate where I'm just kind of around field weight on Lawrence, being over on Etienne is just the way I like to play it in the softer matchup. And then that automatically kind of makes lineups a bit different, just kind of hitting that mid-range. I usually kind of need one of the cheaper running backs to kind of make things work. And like you said, I'm playing a lot of 3 running backs in lineups. So it's really ETN's the priority, and then I let the DS kind of figure out the rest of it. Because I like CMC, but I'm not overly excited about picking on this Eagles defense that's getting healthier. James Cook mentioned he's my least favorite in the group, but then I also really like Saquon Barkley in the playoffs. I think they're going to let loose a bit more here, where if it's not Hurts tush pushing it, it wouldn't shock me at all if we see Saquon Barkley going big. And I have a pretty big fade that I like with the receivers for one of the receivers that we'll get to. And I think it also explains why I like Barkley as much as I do too.
Yeah, give me those fades, guys. I want to hear about your fades. I'm all about that. BobbyWow, who's the tight fade on this one?
More of the same for me. I think it's James Cook. Like, to me, I'm smashing CMC and I'm smashing Saquon Barkley. I'm not going to apologize for it. I think these guys are in phenomenal spots. Saquon is absurdly cheap. I don't know what to do with you, Geek, because all I've heard from you is, throw this out, it's the playoffs, throw that out, it's the playoffs. But all of a sudden, Barkley's regular season matters more than anything else. Like,
no.
What to do here.
DVP, forget about all that. It's the playoffs.
Forget the metrics, but Barkley's metrics.
No, Barkley's been okay this year, but like,
I know.
He's not been great, and he's not been somebody that you've ever been excited that you paid up for the whole freaking year. This would be the first game. This would be the first game, if he succeeds, where you're like, wow, I'm really glad I played Saquon Barkley this week. The whole season. Maybe there was one other game.
Yeah, there was like
totally. And I agree with that assessment. I'm mostly messing with you. But no, I think those two guys are the smash plays. ETN been a high volume guy. He's kind of like taking over that backfield. So, him and Omarion, I'll have some ownership of as well. Hoping to get some leverage on Omarion. The Patriots have floundered down the stretch a bit. They have really, started to show some holes in their defense. And let's also be honest about the Patriots. They've played the Dolphins and the Jets the last two games. They've had one of the easiest schedules of the entire regular season. And that's a big reason why guys like Ramondre jump off the page. Go look at Ramondre's game logs prior to these last 2 weeks against the Dolphins and the Jets. The returns are not pretty, okay? Trevion, a little bit better. He had one big game against the Bucs, but otherwise, he smoked the Jets. He had a good game against the Bills, who have shown some big-time holes in the running game as well. And it hasn't been pretty against better teams. So I'm not as, I don't know that the fairy tale ending is there here for Trevion and for Ramondre. I'm not as excited about them as I was the last couple games of the season. I'm sticking with that primary group of CMC and Saquon as the pay-ups, and then ETN and Hampton as the other two guys I'll have a good bunch of exposure to.
I like it. I'm going to be less down than you are on the pair from Miami, from New England. As far as both those guys, I continue to think that Henderson is the much better talent, but it's just like,
for sure,
in those last two games, to your point, Ramondre shined because they were just running against nothing. So like, you don't need to be that good to smash in those couple games. I think talent will maybe shine through a little bit more against a pretty good Chargers defense relative to, like, again, the teams that came in to lose on purpose, which is what the Patriots saw the last couple of weeks. I also think that maybe Drake May getting a little, note how low owned Drake May is kind of on this scale. I think Drake May really wasn't like that much of a fantasy productive quarterback for most of the year until those cakewalk games came towards the end where he had those 30-plus pointers. But you look at a whole season from Drake May where, this team just played it close. They were not, I don't have it open here, but they played it close. He was putting up 22s and 24s and 21s. He was not a score 30-plus quarterback up until last week or two. So keep that in mind. Again, if I'm looking at which quarterback can really pop for a monster score, is it really going to be Drake May here, or should we rely on the old faithful names that have been getting us 25-plus points, on average most weeks, like Hurts and Josh Allen on this one?
Chargers defense is legit too. I know we're not talking about defenses, but they are legit.
Yeah, they play good defense. I'm telling you, that Patriot matchup, very questionable. 46.5. They're at home. It's going to go so many different ways.
It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun game for sure.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch these games, but don't don't imagine that defense will not be played tomorrow. Like, these teams are good, and everybody plays tight. Everybody's a little nervous. All right, let's jump over to wide receiver. I'm going to sort by ownership. Oh, finally. Oh, no.
They caught on.
The hipsters have figured it out. It took a whole season. Burns, what the hell's happening here? Parker Washington is now the highest owned guy. I've been literally screaming about this. How many weeks, Josiah?
Yeah, a lot.
3, 4.
Like, I'm playing Jacoby Myers. All right, hipsters. Watch me take your cash money. Burns has been taking hipster cash in cash games and 3-mans for weeks based off of this. True. Everybody playing Myers.
Yeah.
Weeks.
And we're talking about the number 1 player in the world, too.
Burns is the number 1. Fuck that guy.
Can I be vulnerable for a second here?
Oh, yeah.
It's been much longer than a few weeks. Okay.
Oh.
And I remember grilling.
We were on him.
It was DJ Moore the first week Rome was out. Like back toward like the middle of beginning middle of the season. And Geek was like, Parker Washington. I would consider him too. And I was like, he sucks. He's terrible. Parker Washington scored just as many fantasy points as DJ Moore and has been consistent through the whole season. So, yes, I just wanted to shout that out. It's been a long time coming.
Give him his flowers. Deserve.
I got to give him the flowers.
I appreciate a rare, almost kind word
on him since
on the Tournament Tactics show. This is,
and I think we've been on him since like week 3.
It's been a while.
And he got better as Travis Hunter went out the door.
Yep.
And it was just great seeing it. And people were still not buying into it. I was like, Millie Baker ownership on him was at 1 week, like around week 10 or something, was like 4%. I was like, thank you.
With the hipsters on Parker, wait, should we shift now? Should we get off the bandwagon?
Zag? Is it time? Jacoby, do we like him now?
Are we all going to throw on a beanie, like one of those knit caps, and just walk around?
I see the Undertaker gif in my head with Brian Thomas Jr. rising from the dead here.
I mean, what's going on here? This threw me for such a. I should have looked at this before the show, because this threw me off my game to a level where I'm now having to bring it back down in real time. I wasn't expecting that. So Parker Washington, now the highest owned projection. Love AJ Brown, Devontae. I know one of you guys will have a fade on one of these guys. K-Shack, he's never put up a good score, but maybe this week it'll finally happen. BTJ. Lad McConkey's matchup-based play. Good matchup-based play right there. Jawan priced up. Ugh, damn it. Love Jawan. Don't love that he's priced up. So, wide receiver group, guys. Sunday only slate. BobbyWow, since you glazed me up and I appreciated it. I did. Let's talk about this grouping here a little bit. Brown Smith, both of them. Parker Washington has been great. Projects really well. Let's look at the fantasy points per dollar values. Yeah. It kind of, yeah. There it is. You know who didn't figure out that Parker is the better play? DraftKings still pricing Myers above Parker. I bet you if I check FanDuel right now, it's reversed.
The fact that Jacoby is still chalky, though, is what blows my mind.
He hasn't had a good game at all. I take a look at Jacoby. Like, I didn't understand the whole. Where were the good games for Myers?
He's had a good game. Yeah, he's had a good game. And he's been getting targets too. That's the thing. It's the volume is there, but that doesn't necessarily translate into production. And it hasn't really for Jacoby.
It's been fine for cash, but like he's averaging 11 fantasy points, 9, 8, 12, 14. Ooh, almost paid off the salary.
And he was in the nuts that week.
Yeah, but like that was barely a 3.5 Xer. Like it just was this. I do not refer. I don't know why people think that I'm specifically referring to somebody when I say the hipsters. I'm not going to say who I'm referring to. I'm going to leave it up to your imaginations out there.
If I would have woken up from a coma after the first half of the season, I would have said for sure Jacoby's still on the Raiders here because this is exactly what we had seen.
Just a continuation.
Nothing's really changed.
What do we always say about Jacoby Myers? We never play him when he's high owned.
Yeah.
And it never ceases to fail.
Now, again,
when he is low owned, we play him and he smashes. I think that 21-point week, he was actually like 6-7% owned.
It was his first week with the Jags, I think.
Yep.
And it was low owned. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he smashed.
I do want to point out that now that we've made this big emphasis on Myers, he's definitely going to smash this week. So do not fade that guy now. Like now it's too late. We've effectively jinxed the shit out of it.
Reverse the curse.
And so I do expect him to smash now. But I mean, I feel like we had a whole season of fading this and it was great. And even on the draft battle, one of my winning weeks, it's like Parker. I was like, I'll take Parker. Okay. You're going to take Jacoby Myers. Like, I'll take Parker Washington each time. So, and those cash games. So with that being said, guys, any names here that really pop for you at the low owner? Obviously we know, okay, I don't like any of the chalk. I don't like Khalil Shakir all that much. I'm never a fan of Jacoby Myers. But I do, I love AJ Brown in this matchup. AJ Brown's been great. You just got to keep going back to it. Don't fade it. I haven't seen much out of Keenan Allen in a while, but the price is right. Steffi Diggs going to strangle the competition. You like that, BobbyWow?
No, I didn't.
No.
Wait. Why are we saying AJ Brown's been great and we're just giving Jacoby Myers a tough time?
Yeah, AJ Brown has been great. He's
been okay. He's had a couple of big games.
Hold up. 12 targets, 13 targets.
Okay, now we're looking at targets.
10. Wait, we got a 28, a 38, a 20, a 20. No, the production has not been maybe relative to the 6,900 price tag that great. But I'm looking at the targets more than anything else. And yeah, they've been actively and aggressively targeting him. There's a 12, 13. Anytime AJ Brown is getting double-digit targets, I'm cool with that. Like that's the kind of guy I want for double-digit targets every time. I'll take it.
19 points get you there. And AJ Brown's done that 4 out of the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So
let's just hope he doesn't bring a book to this game.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying is at his ownership, it's a little too inconsistent for me. As soon as everyone starts playing AJ Brown, they start liking him again. That's what everyone's like, I knew I hated AJ Brown. I never liked him in the first place.
Oh, it's that guy. I remember now. Yeah.
That's usually when it shifts to Devontae Smith anyway. Yeah. And you do that. And Smitty winds up with a 30 bomb at lower ownership. So yeah, do I love AJ Brown that much more than Smith? No, they're kind of same shit.
But let's be honest too. This 49ers secondary is absolutely atrocious.
He should bully them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, Roberto Berber has a good name to bring up. One of my favorites for the low-owned turdliness of him. Brandon Cooks coming on strong late in the season as like the WR kind of one, I guess, for the Bills. It ain't Keon Coleman. It's not Gaby Davis.
The WR1 on a team with WR none. That team.
Well, okay, but still, Brandon Cooks has experience. He's had big games in his career. I love that price point on him. He's one of my.
It's intrigue. Yeah, I agree with the intrigue.
Sneaky play. But where were we, guys? So, Burns, sneaky plays at the wide receiver position Sunday slate.
Because I'll be playing Herbert, I think the Keenan Allen and that crew are sneaky in this one. I mean, their ownership is low teens.
Which one's getting Gonzo coverage?
Probably QJ.
Let me check.
We hope so.
Give me a
I
minute.
think it's QJ. But I could be wrong.
Is Keenan in the slot or is it Ladd in the slot?
Give me a second. I'll check.
You got to keep the show going. We ain't got time for that.
I got QJ on him. QJ will be covered by Gonzo.
Yeah, so I mean that gives you maybe reason to get excited about Ladd McConkey here at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
Projection not that great, but he'll have to overcome that. On a fantasy points per dollar basis, the high owned guys are the ones that, I mean, it's like very clear what's going on here, right? The highest fantasy points per dollar ownership plays are getting the most ownership. So you're going to have to really play these other guys and hope for the pop game. Every single wide receiver more than anything else, they're all open for a 20-plus pointer. Anybody can get it. McConkey, he can get there. QJ, not really bad. QJ is one of the worst projection. So I think the bettors probably know that QJ is going to get wiped out on this one, Burns.
Yeah, he will.
Or he should.
If Gonzalez is on him, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, not good right there. Let's stay on the topic of like sneaky wide receivers that can win us the whole thing tomorrow. I'm not seeing Ricky Pierce. All right, Ricky Pearsall got that Q tag. He's helped me in the past.
I think he's good.
You think he's going to play?
Yeah, I do.
Let's get the latest. Questionable, despite not practicing at all. Ooh.
Still don't practice.
Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it at that price at all.
So if he's out, then are you firing up your other guy,
DeMarcus
Kendrick Bourne?
No, it's been DeMarcus Robinson.
Okay,
it is. Kendrick Bourne is at this point completely forlorn. He's very forlorn. No more Bourne. It was fun while it lasted. The ride was good for a couple of weeks, though. I gotta admit,
it was a fun ride.
Yeah, but Mac Jones is required for Bourne. They're friends.
Oh.
They stay in the same apartment in San Francisco. It's expensive out there. Housing.
Here we go.
All right, I won't get into it. Let's just keep doing this breakdown. Okay, so sneaky wide receivers, guys. Keep it going. Did I go over to you yet, BobbyWow?
Not yet. I
take me through it, man.
Not much different here from me. I think Keenan Allen is one of the sneakier guys on the slate. Just given his price tag, solid props projection, relatively low ownership, below 15% here. We see time and time again in the playoffs, kind of like a couple of the older, dusty labeled veterans really stepping up and kind of saving up their juice and giving it all in these playoff games. I think Keenan Allen is for sure one of those guys. Like, he is still in the league simply because he wants to win a championship. And he's going to give everything he has. He's going to play more snaps than we've been accustomed to this season. I think we see more of Keenan than we have in a while. And so I really like him as kind of a lower owned pay down guy. He'll probably be my top guy in that category. And then, somebody else, oh man, it's really disgusting, but I just have a weird feeling that Brian Thomas Jr. is going to show up. I don't
mind it.
I don't really have any paper reasons why, nothing objective to give you, which should scare you enough. But it just feels like finally the game that Brian Thomas Jr. shows up again. So Keenan Allen, my top choice there, and then I'll have some leverage on BTJ.
All right, leverage place. I like it. Brian Thomas Jr., hey, you never know when it's coming. Josiah, got anybody down here that can win us the whole tournament?
No, I like your Cook's call, former Panther there. So I'm always going to be heavy on him. And then we touched on Devontae Smith. He's going to be a priority for me on this slate. And I like the lad call too, even though I don't love that game too much from an offensive perspective. But yeah, I like pretty much what everyone mentioned. The only thing I'll highlight is really just Devontae Smith being the guy I'm focusing on here.
Love the Devontae Smith call as well. A lot of good stuff there coming right out of that. Smith instead of A.J. Brown, just that tournament pivot.
Yeah.
Still works out well. I
want to like the Jags, but the Bills' defense has been so good against the pass this season, it terrifies me.
Until this week.
Defense doesn't matter anymore.
Until this week. Burns, how about you?
Right.
Bobby said my one that I was going to actually bring up. BTJ is being completely overlooked. I'm talking about guys that are way below this stratospheric threshold of, A.J. Brown and Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers. So these are the guys that could actually win you a tournament, because if you have Parker Washington and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith in your lineup, you got a lot of ownership. So guys like BTJ, Keenan Allen, yeah, they're not great plays by any stretch, but they can still pop off for 15 to 20 and win you a tournament that way. So
I like that.
One final name for me, just to get super silly, would be, if you want to get real silly, is Gabe Davis. He's my super silly for the Millie.
Yeah, I say, I'll throw another one out there, but I like the Brandon Cooks spot. I'll go back to that one. I also want to generalize that, and a general reminder that, like, Josh Allen doesn't need to be stacked either. Like,
totally.
Yeah, it's totally fine to not play any of those pass catchers. Or, like I said, the ones that I kind of like are, that's why I like Brandon Cooks a little bit. It's so cheap that one big play could be enough for a guy like that. But, like, Josh Allen doesn't need to be stacked. You don't even need, those pass catchers. Khalil Shakir hasn't a single time kind of been the nuts quarterback on any slate. So, the nuts wide receiver on any slate. So it just doesn't matter that much. Like, those are not usually the ones that are going to make you pay by not playing them. But I'll throw out Demarcus Robinson as well. If Pearsall is out, I think Demarcus Robinson seems to catch a touchdown in these types of games. And at 3K or this super cheap price point, I think that's totally acceptable. One other name maybe down here. I cannot get on board. It's hard to get on board with Jahan Dotson, but maybe even Pop Douglas, just like random Patriots wide receiver, especially Booty's got a Q tag on him. You never know what that means. So I wouldn't mind taking a shot or two at 0 owned Pop Douglas. I almost guarantee you that some 2 or 3% owned player will be in the winning lineup. It's just, which one is it going to be for the big tourneys? Why not Pop Douglas? It could happen. And another name, by the way, Trey, and I'm not throwing every name out there, but like Trey Harris has gotten mildly involved as well in some of these Chargers games. So another kind of like 2% owned guy that might get you there. It could happen. Not saying it will. Let's jump over to the tight ends for the big slate. It's such a contrast. This is the double tight end slate. That Saturday only was absolute dog shit at the tight end position. And now Sunday, it's like a glorious group of awesomeness. I don't know where to go. They're all so great. I want to play 3 or 4 of them in the same lineup. That's what? Goddard, Kittle, Hunter Henry, Strange, Kincaid, Gadsden. I mean, my goodness, I could play 3 or 4 of these guys, and they're probably the best value at their position. Look at this. Their fantasy points per dollar. Goddard at 2.5 is the highest of any position player. Watch. Wide receiver, 2.2. Running back, 2.4. Sorry, Saquon. Position player, not quarterbacks. I knew the quarterbacks would be higher. But Dallas Goedert and Dalton Kincaid at 2.5 and 2.41 are literally the 2 highest value players on the entire slate that aren't quarterbacks. What's up with that, Burns? Nothing
really. I mean, Goddard is a good play.
Yeah,
it's a great play, and I think all that ownership going to AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. I mean, Dallas Goedert has done it in the past. He's gotten it done in the past multiple times. I mean, he's done 30 points in playoffs before. He's done high 20s, mid 20s. I mean, the guy can ball out in the playoffs. He tends to ball out in the playoffs. Let's just put it that way. And he's a great play. I like him a lot this week. One of my top plays at tight end.
How do you choose? What about Kincaid? What about Hunter Henry? What about George Kittle?
There's a lot of good players. There's like on the entire Saturday to Monday slate, there's probably 7 solid plays at tight end.
And they're mostly
right here in the Sunday.
Yeah, very tough to narrow it down. And you can see the ownership is having a hard time narrowing it down as well. George Kittle 30%, but Goddard huge, Hunter Henry. I don't like Hunter Henry as much. When he's going to be owned, usually it doesn't work out. But maybe you got Strange. Kincaid's been the one player that's been stackable with Josh Allen for the most part this season. Josiah, you got a favorite here?
I mean, I feel like Burns has already kind of touched on this, but it really just comes down to my paying up or paying down. I really like Kittle this week. attacking the Eagles through the middle of the field. And then I like Goddard when I'm paying down. And then I will make sure I have some Kincaid exposure. We saw him pop off early against one of the better defenses in the league in the Chiefs earlier this season. That's because the Chiefs decided to focus on Shakir and really double him on a lot of those plays. I think the Jags will play it relatively similarly. We'll see if Shakir can overcome that. But it's usually when you see Kincaid just completely open in the end zone. The one concern I have about Goddard in this matchup in particular is that the 49ers have one of the better defenses in the red zone. And a lot of teams have struggled there against the Niners. But I don't think the Eagles will have that same issue because I think they're just going to run a lot in that zone. So that's the only concern I have about Goddard is will he get touchdowns or will there just be a lot of tush pushes?
That's always the concern. Goddard is as all or nothing of a player as you're ever going to see. Which is why, but the all is there. I think it's double tight end slate, BobbyWow. What do you think?
I wish I could play 3, honestly. Yeah. And Burns, credit to Burns, he nailed this at the beginning of the show. I love the strategy for the first week of the playoffs. He mentioned, with Brock Purdy in particular, he loves pairing Purdy up with his running back and his tight end, with CMC and Kittle. And the same could be said with Hurts. I think the play is to pair him up with Barkley and Goddard here. I think that makes the most sense. Oftentimes in the playoffs, it may be different with the Eagles, but we see teams taking more of a kind of a straightforward approach, not so much the home run plays, as much as let's dial in the run. Let's get the play action game going with our tight ends. I think we see that as a common theme throughout this wildcard weekend. So I love stacking that way. And that's part of why I'll have, 2 tight end exposure in just about every one of my lineups with Kittle and Goddard leading the way.
Yeah. Double tight ends going to be the thing this week. A lot of it's going to have to do with the quarterback I'm playing. If I'm kind of being really clear about it, my Allen lineup is going to have a heck of a good chance of having Kincaid in it. And my Hurts lineup is probably going to have, or will have a good shot of having Goddard and so on and so forth. With the standalone kind of being George Kittle, I think is just playable. I don't give a shit. I think George Kittle might be the best 6K play on the slate at any position, at any price. So again, I'm just going to compare George Kittle here to everybody else that's that price. And I mean, again, not talking about quarterbacks, but 2.1. So he's got a 13, 13.3. It's right there with Diggs. But, Trevion Henderson, who is about the same price, 11. Devontae Smith, about the same price, 12.3. So a point lower. Ramondre, just a little bit cheaper, a full 2 points lower. So, and if I go up a little bit in salary to position players, yeah, I mean, it does get better as you move up the ladder, but it's at that price point that George Kittle's at. He's about the best fantasy points per dollar value for a position player. So, and all the, especially on the cheaper tight ends, that happens to always be the case. They're just better values than random turd wide receivers. So I think double tight end is going to be a really big way that this slate can be won. And also we've seen historically that 2 tight ends in the 3-game and 2-game, but especially 3-game slates has been how you win those slates. It occurs in winning lineups something like 35-40% of the time. Although I do have to credit DraftKings for being a little more generous in terms of the salaries here. You can kind of do a little bit of whatever you want. We're not as constrained, at least on the Saturday one, a little more constrained on Sunday. Let's see what the Sunday sort of generic tournament lineup using the props is as of right now. So top fantasy point lineup for Sunday. This one has a little more ownership. So something like Trevor, Etienne, Barkley, Trevor doubled up, Dallas Goedert, McCaffrey, and Chargers defense in there. I don't really love any of these. Not in love with.
What aren't you seeing? What do you want to see?
I don't know. I feel like it's Jacoby's in. I hate Khalil Shakir. I always hate Khalil Shakir. I always think Khalil Shakir is just over projected.
But in cash games, I think those two guys make plenty of sense at their salary, right?
No Tongas when Kittle's in. Tongas doesn't really play. He doesn't really play.
No one mentioned Strange that they are. Maybe Burns did when he was running through his.
Strange has got that low ownership. I mean, he's probably the least good of these guys, I would say.
Man, was he involved and looked good the last week, though. Holy cow, that guy was everywhere. Strange.
The lowest owned, I don't really like Dawson Knox very much, although I have to admit he's had a couple big games as well recently, and that's the classic thing that can win you like a 3-game millie. Random Knox goes off. But I feel like Gadsden, of all of these guys at this 4% ownership or at this 11% ownership, like super low price, Gadsden is a guy that we've seen dominate a couple games this year. Not that he does it most of the time, but he's done it a few times, and he's got that skill set. So I would just make sure. Basically, the way I'm going to be on this is I'm going to make sure I'm going to be over the field on him. I'll have a ton of Kincaid with Allen, but probably not very much without Josh Allen. And same with Goddard. I'll probably have a ton of him with Hurts, but probably not that much without Hurts. And then, the standalones are probably Kittle. Henry's more of a play with Drake May kind of guy for me a little bit at that price, especially. So let's see how this one goes, man. This is definitely more the way I see the slate going. It's so even. It's going to be hard to really get excited about making one lineup for it and trying to go for it. I'm going to MME the shit out of this one and just try to get my exposures mixed up and hope that I accidentally land on the perfect lineup. Any thoughts on defense for the 3-gamer, guys? Burns, any thoughts at all? It looks like Chargers, just by default of price, are going to be the highest owned, or Eagles highest owned. Again, I don't really, and then Chargers being the cheapest will just get exposure. I like that. Just the general, I don't know who to play, so I just take the cheap one approach.
Yeah, that works.
I'm really lost on this one. Do you have a defense that you like?
I think a defense. I think of a defense that, man, I don't know how this game's going to go. It's such a tight game. It's got a high spread, or not a high spread, but a low spread with a high point total. But I do like the Jaguars, knowing that Josh Allen just doesn't do well on the road. They've been a stingy defense all year. We'll see how they work, but they could be the lowest owned defense on the slate. That could pop. And pop is like getting pretty close to double digits. I don't think anybody goes way over double digits, but yeah.
Let's think about, is there a defense here that can score big?
Double digits?
Yeah. Which one? Like, all right, it's the playoffs. Chances are none of these defenses are going to do that well. All the teams are going to play good. But, and so then defaulting down to the cheapest one, okay, cool. I could see the Jaguars putting up a big score if Josh Allen has one of his brain fart games and goes the Pat Mahomes, all the experienced guys are going to get wiped out of the, early this year, and it's going to be a different kind of Super Bowl way.
Or the receivers drop everything. We've seen that before where they catch the ball, they drop it, and then there's an interception with that. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Well,
the thing about Allen is he's got probably the worst, outside of the tight ends, he's got the worst wide receiving core on the entire slate. So that being said, he's got to do it almost on his own. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Jacksonville's been really good. They've been good at home. Josh Allen's got a high sack rate on the road. So there's reasons why I like this one. The lines are actually really good. Their D line is really good. They do turnover. They do get a lot of turnovers through fumble recoveries, interceptions. They do sack the quarterback a lot. So I could see this one. I don't think Josh Allen is going to be running free like as easily as he thinks he's going to run free in this game. That's all I'm going to say.
I could see. Jaguars defense. Why not? At 7%. I think the play here is just to get a little heavier on these lower owned defenses because you don't fucking know. Like 49ers at 8% owned. The way I'm thinking about it is like, man, I've seen Hurts be shit this year. Like I've watched Hurts not be good in games at times. right? I've watched Josh Allen just play terrible this year. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's probably more than 7% likely to happen, or 8%. And if you're splitting up the ownerships here this way, yeah, I think it's just fade the high owned one. So I'll probably go lower on Eagles and Patriots just because of their higher owned here, and try to push my exposures to the other ones and just hope that one of them works out. One thing though, it's a reminder, you don't really want to worry about like playing. You can play a defense against position player, no worries here at all.
Yeah. You know my thoughts on short game or short slates. I like to get exposure to every defense, just because we've seen it time and time again where the defense you don't expect to put up points ends up breaking the slate.
Yeah. And I'll say the Bills just really, I like them. They are a really good defense. So they're the ones I really want to be over on.
Okay. Yeah.
Bills. If T-Law reverts to form here under the lights, that could be a great play at low ownership.
Yeah. And Bills at low own. And by the way, yeah, Trevor Lawrence, as great as he's looked the last 7 or 8 weeks of the season, has 5 years of career that wasn't that good.
And he's still volatile and turns the ball over. Like Hurts doesn't turn the ball over. Some of these guys don't turn the ball over much, but T-Law is not afraid to turn the ball over. That's just kind of who he is.
Can fumble it. By the way, the Jaguars can just go completely brain mush in the playoffs because it's the playoffs and there's extra pressure. We've seen teams do this, just like they look great, regular season, but these guys who have never been here before, like we have to be unburdened by what has been. And remember that like it's a new season, things start from scratch in the playoffs. And yeah, it's still, like I said, the inexperienced teams are going to have a hard time. I think that the Patriots, I think just Drake May is poised beyond all that. I'm not worried about it with him. But like the Jaguars, they haven't been here. Panthers, they haven't been there. Sorry. And even the Bears, I hate to say it, but they haven't been there. They need a little bit of seasoning. They can win a game, but like they don't strike me as going to go to the Super Bowl. Like some of these teams don't strike me as experienced enough and seasoned enough to go to the Super Bowl. But what the hell do we know? With that being said, guys, I had one last final segment planned. Okay. And it's called Who's Gonna Win? And let's just go through it, guys, and give me your win picks for every game. Saturday, Sunday. Give me Saturday to Monday. All right. Give me your win picks for every game. Just a winner. If there's an upset, I'm excited to hear it, but no pressure. Burns, give me your win picks. Rams, Panthers.
Rams.
All right, get the
all the way through.
Let's go all the way through.
I'm gonna skip.
Skipping Packers, Bears.
No.
Just give us one. Come on, man.
Make a pick, man.
All right, Rams, Packers.
Oh wait, never mind. Don't give us one.
Rams, Packers. I'm gonna go with the Bills here, even though I don't like it. Philly at home, really good. I think New England is going to win this game, and then I think Stroud and the Texans win too.
There you go. Josiah, take me through it.
All right, we're gonna get weird, so I'm ready for the comments. Just gotta go with the Panthers first and foremost. Y'all knew that was gonna happen. Baby. I want to go with the Bears so bad, but like you said, Ben Johnson hasn't been here before. I think it's gonna be the Packers. Then
Ben Johnson has.
Ben Johnson has been here, but the Lions have never really gone anywhere once they get into the playoffs. Okay. They get out pretty early. Yeah. So he's never really gotten past this point too many times. But who knows? I'll be happy if y'all win, And then this Bills-Jags game, that's the tough one for me. I'm going to go with the Bills, keep it boring. I'll go Eagles for the Niners game, Patriots, and then this last game, I think the Steelers will surprise some people. Don't forget about Kenny Gainwell either, if you're playing the full slate.
Yes.
There it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
BobbyWow, pick your winners.
Give me Rams. Give me Bears 75-0. Bills, Niners in an upset over the reigning champs. I got the Chargers over the Pats in experience, and then Texans finish it out at home. I'm sorry, if the Texans finish it out, they beat the Steelers in a slog fest.
I love it. All right. Good stuff, gentlemen.
Wait, give us yours. What are your picks?
Yeah,
I was going to try to skip that. No, I'm pretty chalk with the way I see these games going down. I like the Rams as well. I think they will beat the Panthers in that one. Packers beat the Bears. Jaguars win. 49ers win. Patriots win. Texans win. So
love it.
Close stuff, guys. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna do a Dom Station setup for the 2-game slate and maybe the 3-game slate. We're gonna do it all as part of Players Club tomorrow. So that's what I'll do with the Players Club for everybody. Is we'll just kind of sit down and do a optimizer setup streams, kind of get ready for those 2 slates. I figure that's the best thing we can do on a Saturday afternoon. So that's what we're gonna do. Players Club. That'll be tomorrow at noon for my DFS Army subscribers and subscribers here on the YouTube channel. YouTube channel notes, guys. Hope you enjoyed Draftapalooza, playoff Draftapalooza. We did it all week long here. We had a 3-hour best ball draft stream yesterday. 3 hours of drafts, Burns.
Damn.
By the end of it, I was holed up in Debo's pigeon coop. 3 hours.
Damn.
But we got
was
a lot
it you
of
and the cat, or was there other people on board, or what?
What's that? Oh, no, yeah, we had
cat?
BobbyWow came on, Ray Zanny jumped in, Underdog Champ. So we had some special guests on there helping out.
Nice.
Of course, Ray's dog was barking in the background too. We love him or her. No, she was she. I don't remember if it's a he, she, but the dog was really good. The dog's a fan of DFS Army. Calms down when we're on the stream. But yeah, it was great stuff. And we're going to keep that going in the off season as well. We're just going to be doing a lot of best ball drafting, pre-draft and all that stuff. So that's coming up. That's coming up, obviously, in the off season here. But more Army goodness.
Draft a lot of Carnell Tate, right?
I did not draft any Carnell Tate. This is the first I'm hearing of that name. So
in the off season best ball, you better be drafting him.
Oh wait, my head's not gotten around to the players yet. There's
he's going to be the number 1 receiver off the board.
Is that the top guy? Okay, I know there's a top running back, Love, or I can't remember his name.
Jeremiah Love.
Notre Dame, yeah.
That's the big dog, and a couple of wide receivers. I think there's 2 good wide receivers, but I haven't memorized.
Kid from Arizona State.
Yeah.
And then the kid from USC. There's
Pollock,
3.
Pollock Hillbilly was with me for all 3 hours yesterday and a couple hours a day before.
Ray's computer fan getting a call out is just fantastic.
Yeah, the computer fan. That's right. That's what it was. That fan was like intense. But good stuff. I appreciate everybody being here with us today. Good luck tomorrow on the slate. 12 p.m. Tomorrow. Blue Moons. Players Club. We got it going. So make sure to be there. Good luck this weekend, guys. Helmets up, everybody. Oh, there it is. The bear suede. The
bear down, man. Come on.
Yeah, I love it.
Bear down with me, baby.
I've got no one to root for. I'm just like, I don't give it. I only root for my money.
Root for Panthers, Bears.
I'm only
want us to be happy.
Rooting for Panthers.
I do. I root for those teams for you guys, but mostly I just rooting for my money.
Yeah.
So wherever the money is, that's what I'm rooting for. Good luck this weekend, everybody. Helmets up. Let's go.